All right, everyone, welcome to the 7 o'clock sessions. I will give it just a few seconds for everyone to join. You are here in the professional immersion, getting the hands-on experience session that will focus on co-ops, internships, and professional experiences that our current students are pursuing. So it looks like we have a great number here. I'll just give it one more minute because I know the transition period can be a bit tight. As a reminder, all of the confirmation links are in your email, as we've been reiterating all evening. Feel free, if you're lost, contact us in the chat. We're happy to help you out. This will be another moderated chat, so if you do have questions that arise, please feel free to put them in the chat box. My awesome colleague Mike is here to answer those as well for you in the chat. But without further ado, we have three amazing female students here ready to share their experiences with you. We have Tahira, Kate, and Layhan. They will be going through a few slides each, just sharing all of their experiences, telling you why they chose RPI and what experiences they are having out there in the real world. So without further ado, I will introduce Tahira to take it away first.
Thanks, Lauren. Hi, everyone. My name is Tahira Catton. I am just graduated from RPI with my bachelor's in chemical engineering, and then I'm coming back as an extra year as part of the co-terminal program to get my master's in chemical engineering. And you'll be learning a little bit about me for the next few minutes. So, background, I grew up most of my life in Goodyear, Arizona, which is a little bit outside of Phoenix. Some things I'm involved in on campus. I'm currently the vice president for our National Society of Black Engineers chapter, or NSBE for short, which focuses a lot on professional development, community engagement, volunteering, and a lot of different things. So I'm happy to be a leader in this organization at my chapter. I'm also an admissions ambassador, so being on events like these, but also giving tours on campus for the past, this is going to be my 4th year now, so very old admissions ambassador. I'm also on the staff for the NSBE SHEP Career Fair. SHEP stands for Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, very similar to NSBE, and we work together every year at RPI to create this whole career fair for all of our students, and it's where a lot of students come look for internships, full-time jobs, and anything kind of in between there. And then I've also been a mentor for physics as part of the I Persist mentoring program. So when you come to RPI as a freshman and if you're taking chemistry, calculus, or physics your first semester here, you get matched up with an upperclassman mentor, and they're going to be there to just guide you along the way, meeting once a week, doing some class things and learning outside of class. So great opportunity to have. And then some of my hobbies, collecting RPI t-shirts. Last time I counted, that picture on the right side, I had 11 shirts, and I think I might have a few more now. I like to play The Sims 4, building a lot of houses in there. That's a house I built recently on the bottom. And then I also like to watch a lot of sunsets. That picture at the top is from my apartment last year, being in Troy. Really great view off into the west. And since campus is on a really high hill, the sunsets look like that pretty often. So about my professional experiences, I've had 2 internships, one last spring and then one I'm in right now. So last spring in 2020, I was an intern for water resource management, the government water resource management area for the city of Surprise, Arizona. So my main project was to do cost analysis on the plant's chlorine generation system. So that little digital screen right there controlled the chlorine generation, and you take, not me, but the system takes salt and water, zaps it with some electricity, and then you get chlorine bleach and you get hydrogen gas as a byproduct. So I had to figure out how much money the plant was spending on salt and salt deliveries, how much electricity they were using, and how much that was costing, how much water costs. So all those things just going into disinfecting wastewater. And some side quests on that, aside from just doing my project, I got to really experience going to work every day for the first time. So since I lived in Goodyear at the time, Surprise is maybe 15, 20 minutes away north. So I got to leave my house every morning, go drive to work, and then come back at the end of the day, which is very different than college when you're doing work like all throughout the day. And then being able to apply skills I learned in class, like learning how to use Excel and drafting just documents and getting my thoughts together into words so I could explain it to other people. And also drawing on whiteboards and unofficially presenting to people was something I applied there. And some useful classes from my curriculum included modeling and analysis of uncertainty, which is basically a statistics class. You learn how to use Excel and do lots of different projects with probability and simulations and things. And then specifically in chemical engineering, we have a class called modeling material, energy, and entropy balances, which is like our first chemical engineering class where you learn about processes, so the input coming in. So for example, with this project, the salt and the water, and what it makes is the chlorine and the hydrogen, and then figuring out all the other factors that impact that process. So it was nice to have that background before coming to do this internship. And it was also really nice weather since it was Arizona in the wintertime. I got to go outside without being crispy all day. So it took a lot of nice pictures of the plant. And then the internship that I'm doing right now is at Regeneron Pharmaceuticals. It's remote this year because of the pandemic, but I did have the chance to go visit. I think I was there 2 weeks ago, and that's why I took that picture. But I am currently in the document control department at our industrial operations and product supply facility in Rensselaer, which is about 15 minutes away from RPI's campus. And I'm working on the author workshop project, so looking at authors of different documents within the company, how they're performing, how many authors there are in the system that they use. So just getting to look into the pharmaceutical industry and all the regulations that they have. And then some side quests for their networking. So I've been able to meet a lot of different people. I think this year there's about 23 interns that are all from RPI working at Regeneron this summer. So it's nice connecting with them and meeting people that go to other schools as well. Being able to make an impact on the company. So all the projects for interns at Regeneron are not just busy work. We're actually working on things that the regular employees are going to use once we all leave in a few weeks at the end of the summer. And then also being flexible, being able to hop into meetings and present what I've been working on and without a lot of preparation, or when the schedule changes, just being able to be flexible and learning to adapt and adjust. And some useful classes for that: statistical analysis, which is like a step up from the modeling and analysis of uncertainty class I mentioned in the last slide, and more about Excel, but we also learned how to use R in that class, but I've been mostly using Excel for my project. And then also chemical process design, which is the chemical engineering senior capstone class. So even though I'm not working with anything remotely related to chemical engineering, having that mindset of making steps and designing a process, seeing where the slow parts are, where the fast parts are, and how to just analyze it as a whole, and also kind of figuring out what to do first is something that's been super important this summer. So that's my professional experience.
So my name is Kate, and I'm a rising senior at RPI, and I study biomedical engineering, and I'm en route to graduate next spring. It came really fast. And next slide, please. Just a little about me. So I'm from Brooklyn, New York. So I'm from New York City. I wanted to come to RPI because I wanted to stay in New York, but I wanted to go a little bit further away from home. It was a perfect size school for me. It's a medium-sized school and also a great tech school. I knew I wanted to study biomedical engineering in high school and stuck with that major, and I love it ever since I decided it's my senior year of high school. So I knew it was the right fit for me, having that really great engineering education, and also research institute. So you're going to get a lot of research experience. You can get a lot of research experience at the school as well. And just a little about what I'm involved in. So I'm involved in the Society of Women Engineers, which is a professional organization. It actually works. We actually work often with NSBE and SHEP, as Tahira mentioned. So we have a lot of professional organizations like this at our PI, and it's great. I've learned so many different professional skills and also met great people, and it's a great network of women to have on campus. And I'm actually the current treasurer for SWE right now. We call it SWE for short. And I'm also involved in undergraduate research. So we have a program at our PI, the Undergraduate Research program, where you can get to do really great research for either pay or credits. So I've done it for credits, and I've been able to be involved in a lot of cool projects in the biomedical engineering department. And I'll talk a little more about that research in the next slide. But that's definitely a big commitment that I have during the school year. I'm also involved in Greek life. Greek life was a great decision I made. I never thought I would join Greek life in school, but it's a lot different at RPI. It's really a great place to meet a lot of different people. I've met a lot of great women on campus through Greek life, and also you get access to all of the Panhellenic organizations as well as different fraternities, and it's just a great way to network with different people and meet people across the whole campus. And I've also been involved with the women's mentoring program. So I was a mentee and I was also a mentor. So that was actually the first thing I did when I came to RPI, because we all got an email right before freshman year if you wanted to be a mentee and have a mentor, to female mentor. And it's just great having that female perspective from an upperclassman to help guide you through the first weeks of classes. And I knew I wanted to do that for when I became a sophomore. So I became a mentor and had a mentee, and I still talk to her to this day. So it's a great program, again, to connect women on campus. So a lot of what I've done on campus is a lot of female empowerment in the clubs I'm involved in, but I love it, and I've gone to meet a lot of women. And just a few of the hobbies I like. So I love dancing. I've danced for 12 years of my life, and I even tried out the dance team and dance club. It was really fun at RPI. I love yoga, I love running, and I love traveling. So that's just a little about me. And now onto my undergraduate research. So that's my first professional experience I've had. It's at RPI. So I joined the Innovative Medical Devices Lab at RPI, and it's in the Biomedical Engineering Department, where the primary research goal is to work on orthopedic medical devices. So the project that I was working on this past year, we were investigating alternative means of diagnosing acute compartment syndrome with a pressure sensor. Unfortunately, because of COVID, my research went remote, but I'm still fortunate to have gotten that research experience even remotely. So I was using a lot of SolidWorks, which is a design software. It's specifically CAD, so computer aided design. So that little image on the right, it's not the pressure housing that I was working on, but it's just an example of how SolidWorks looks like. But it was just great to get that hands-on experience of being involved in research and seeing the development of products. The research that my lab is very focused heavily on having clinical meaning. So we work with physicians across the country, and Dr. Ledette is the professor that I worked with. And I'm actually continuing another project with this same professor. He is actually moving on from RPI, but I'm still continuing research for him. So it was a great networking opportunity too, because I've met so many other students from so many majors, mechanical engineering and electrical engineering, and PhD students through this research. So, and it gave me that first kind of push to get myself into the field, and it was great to get more into SolidWorks and design and really see the application of biomedical engineering and medical devices. And currently, where I am right now, so I am a biomedical engineering advanced development co-op at Zoll Medical. So Zoll Medical is a corporation that primarily works on cardiac related devices. So things like cardiac monitors, defibrillators. So that's those are the kind of medical devices I work on. And if I didn't mention before, so biomedical engineering has tracks or concentrations that you choose. So my current track is biomechanics. There's also bioimaging, bioinstrumentation, there's biomaterials, there's medical devices, and tissue engineering. So I chose biomechanics, but this co-op is really cool because I get to see more of the bioimaging, bioinstrumentation side of biomedical engineering, since I work with a lot of electrical engineers, software engineers, because cardiac monitors, defibrillators, that incorporates a lot of electrical engineering, working on circuits and processing data. So what I do is I help my supervisor is a biomedical engineer that works on the development of software for new medical devices, specifically cardiac monitors and defibrillators. And I help out with a lot of testing. I help out with writing up some reports for verification of different tools. It's been great because, again, like I've mentioned, I collaborate with engineers from so many different teams, so not just biomedical engineers, but electrical, software, mechanical, and we work on a lot of different projects together. So I've been at Seoul since January, and I'm actually finishing up next Friday, which is crazy because it's been 7 months. But it's been a great experience. I've gotten so much hands-on experience with testing. I've been able to be in person, so I have a great opportunity to be in the office, and I can also work remotely, like 1 day a week, because if I'm not testing or doing some testing or working in the lab, then I am analyzing data or writing up reports, and I can do that remotely, which is really great. And some useful classes for the kind of work that I'm doing right now is modeling of biomedical systems. So that's a class that I took last summer during our Arch semester, which is a semester during the summer. But it's primarily focused on MATLAB and modeling different biomedical systems. And this co-op, I use a lot of MATLAB. So I'm not primarily writing scripts, but I use those scripts to process data. And because the data that I'm working with is very large, and to analyze it, plot different graphs, I have to use the software called MATLAB. It's just another language, kind of a little bit a step down from Python, but it's still really useful. Another great class that helped me was Biomedical Engineering Laboratory. That's where I learned a lot about design of experiments, how the product development process is, and it's been really helpful throughout this co-op, just writing up reports and the different process of testing. And then also, this is actually a class I didn't take, but it is useful, and it's offered for both electrical engineers and biomedical engineers, but it's called Signals and Systems. And a lot of electrical engineers have to take it, but also if you're in the bioimaging, bioinstrumentation track, you have to take this class. But a lot of what I do is also I look at signals, so I look at how noisy they are. I do some data acquisition, and it's been great. Even though I haven't taken this class, there was another class that was pretty similar. It was bioimaging, bioinstrumentation, an intro to that class, where we learned just a broad view of all the different kinds of instrumentation in medical devices, and it's been really helpful for this co-op. So I definitely have applied a lot of what I learned in school into my job. So I've been really thankful for RPI for that, and also for RPI basically getting me ready for this co-op, because I really felt like I was ready to step in and actually do work. And they're, like Tahira said, you're not doing busy work. They're actually going to be using the stuff that you're doing on your internship. So it's definitely it's very cool. So yeah, that's been my professional experience. My plan for next year, I hope to do the co-terminal program as well. So I'll be applying to that, hoping to get another internship. And yeah, that's it for me. And I'll pass it on to Lehan.
Okay. My name is Laihan. I'm going into my third year of civil engineering, and I am planning on graduating early, but staying around for co-term, like Kate. So I'm trying to graduate with my with my class, but with a master's. So wish me luck on that. And I'm also planning on fulfilling a minor in sustainability studies while I'm at that. Okay, so hopefully my slide advanced, but a little bit about me. So I'm from Farmington, Connecticut, so that's about 2 hours, 15 minutes drive away from here. Some of the campus organizations I'm involved with, other than admissions ambassadors, include the Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers, or SACE. So kind of similar to NSBE and SHEP, they are the professional societies geared towards the Asian American populace on campus. So they're a really, really great group, and that's definitely helped me both through professional events as well as actually social events as well. I have a bunch of friends through there. I'm also the vice president of the Chinese American Student Association, so that's also a really great cultural organization that I'm a part of, and through there I've had a chance to really enjoy the culture as well as host a bunch of big events. We do Lunar New Year celebration, of course, lots of food when we're in person, and I'm looking forward to getting back into in-person activities with the cultural clubs. Other groups include the Rensselaer Music Association, so I play clarinet with them as part of the symphonic band as well as the studio orchestra. Also looking forward to getting back into that with things being in person again. But there are also so many other groups through the RMA if you're interested. And finally, I'm also part of Engineering Ambassadors. So think of them as the ambassadors, but for the School of Engineering. So they do they're kind of the representatives of the School of Engineering, but we also primarily do presentations and engaging younger students and exposing them to the STEM fields. Some hobbies that I have include cooking, watching the Olympics, and hosting house parties. You can see a photo of that kind of in the middle there. When I say hosting house parties, I mean the very exciting pasta party. No drugs, more pasta was the theme. So we just sat in my house and we made lots of pasta. So that has been really fun this summer. I don't know how much you guys have heard about Arch, but because I'm a rising junior by class, all of my friends most of my friends are actually up on campus right now. So that's how we're able to do these get-togethers over the summer. However, I am career exempt because of the internship I am doing. So a little bit about that. So this is my first real internship, so it's been very exciting this summer. So I'm currently working at CHA Companies as an engineering intern. So more specifically, I'm actually working with their bridge group. So there are about 34 interns in the entire program, but CHA is involved with 3 sectors, and then within the sectors there are business lines, and within business lines there are practices, so it's an entire hierarchy. But essentially I'm actually the only intern working with our bridge group, so it's been really fun to both have some intern projects where I work with other interns, but mostly doing kind of everyday work for the company. So that's been very, very fun. I want to say the business practice is transportation infrastructure, so within that I'm working under bridge. So what does that consist of? I bet when most of you guys are thinking of bridges, you're thinking of the big statement bridges, the George Washington Bridge, the Tappan Zee Bridge, the really big bridges, with people's names on it. A lot of the bridge work in the country are right now the small bridges, the reasons why highways are high. So the photo in the bottom right is actually a railway bridge that I went on a site visit on. So a lot of the stuff I do in the office is doing a lot of calculations and checks. So lots of math. When they say engineering is math and science, they're not lying. I do lots and lots of math, mostly with Excel, because there are a lot of standards to adhere by for AASHTO, and AASHTO, which is the American Association. I don't know what S is, Highway Transportation Officials. It's an entire acronym, as well as New York State DOT and HEC, which are some hydraulic standards. So essentially, whenever there's a calculation that needs to be done for a bridge, there are equations that are backed up, reasons why things need to be designed a certain way, how they should be designed, how to do the calculations so you know how much loading it's going to experience, and all that fun stuff. So we actually do that all using Excel sheets. So that's why if you ever see people asking, experience with Excel, it's because that stuff is used all the time. And I use that all the time. It's okay if you don't have direct experience with Excel. One of the most useful things for me throughout high school when I was using mainly Google, like Google Sheets, Google Docs and stuff, was just knowing the stuff that I can do. Things like conditional formatting, goal seek, being able to reference other spreadsheets within a spreadsheet. That's a very big one. These spreadsheets get very, very large and very confusing very, very quickly. So what am I doing? So I'm doing these checks for geometric properties, essentially how much concrete are we going to need for this bridge, how much steel, section properties, if we build this deck superstructure a certain way, how is it going to deflect under certain load ratings? Hopefully not actually like visibly deflect, but what kind of stresses is it going to undergo because of its geometry? And finally, lots of cost estimates. It's really been very eye-opening to kind of see the non-academic side of engineering, right? With a lot of the stuff I've been doing at school, it's been very, academic. This is how, this is the theoretical way things work, but a lot of the actual engineering work ends up being, okay, now we need to work with contractors. How much money do we think is this going to cost working with the clients? So that's been very eye-opening and very valuable experience for me. In some of the site visits I've been able to go on, well, the nice things about civil engineering is that you can actually see the stuff you're working on. That's one of the reasons I was drawn to civil engineering. So I was able to do site visitings to actually SPAC, or Saratoga Performing Arts Center. There was a slope that they were concerned about slope failure on, so they brought us in. So I got paid to spend a few hours walking around a state park. So that was very fun. And also double track, which is kind of our shorthand term for this railway project. So essentially, with these very old railroad bridges, they're actually built about 1906, so very, very old railroad bridges. I believe they didn't really design for bridge drainage back then, so when it began being a problem, they just drilled holes essentially through the bridge so the water wouldn't be on the tracks anymore, but instead it would drip down to the bottom. And now the big problem is now it's forming icicles in the winter, so they want to install some drainage. But there are also so many challenges that I think, not for this bridge in this photo, but one of the other 9 bridges, the clearance is about 10 feet and 8 inches, so the bridge itself gets hit all the time. So we're just going to design it, but realistically, it's actually going to get hit by cars all the time. So you have to have that really practical sort of sense when you're doing engineering, which has been very useful for me. Similarly to Tahira and Kate, I have my own useful classes for this. I keep it very simple: Introduction to Structural Engineering, Introduction to Transportation, Geotech, Environmental. These are actually 4 classes that all students, all civil engineering students need to take. That's actually going to change a few years a little bit, but all 4 of these classes are taken your 4th semester, so right before that art semester, so you're really prepared for any future internships and co-ops. So it's been very useful to kind of take that knowledge I learned from the classroom and actually apply it. I've seen it a lot, not just being able to understand all these equations that I need to be using all these references, checking all these references for, but also I've had to read a lot of reports, so much reading. Make sure you keep up with those skills and then actually interpret, because there's another project I've been working on. Essentially, it's a bridge overlay in Queens. Long story short, the current asphalt overlay is cracking because that's not a short story, but currently the driving condition on there is really, really bad, so they want to fix that, but the superstructure is okay, so they're just thinking of putting an overlay on there with ultra high performance concrete. So I've been having to read the inspection reports for all that stuff and a bunch of those other documents. That got kind of convoluted, but hopefully you got a good idea of that. Few more things. So, of course, as I'm doing this presently, I don't have any other internship experience, just fine. This is only my second summer since starting college. But next semester, I am planning on getting involved with undergraduate research because even within civil engineering, there's actually a lot of research that still goes on. It's a very, very large industry, and I'll probably end up doing that with one of my professors from last semester, and he does a lot of work with freight transportation. So essentially, how can that be more efficient, how that can create less traffic. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you so much for listening to me and bearing with my technical difficulties.